The judgment hall of Vera Station trembled as blue fire circled above the ceiling rings. Lena Vale stood alone on the round trial floor, her wrists trapped inside black gravity cuffs. Those cuffs were built for war beasts, pirate lords, and steel-boned giants from the outer moons. On Lena's thin human arms, they looked almost silly. High Judge Cyrac leaned forward from his crystal throne. His body was tall, sharp, and clear, like frozen glass. 12 narrow legs tapped against the platform beneath him, while red light moved inside his chest like trapped lightning. "Human Lena Vale," he said, his voice echoing through the silver chamber. "You have been found guilty of illegal technology sharing, social disorder, emotional interference, and disrespecting the dignity of this court." Lena blinked. "Disrespecting the court?" she asked. "Was that before or after I taught your guards rock, paper, scissors?" Several aliens gasped. Prosecutor Nera, a bronze insectoid with 4 arms and bright green eyes, struck her desk so hard the data screens shook. "You turned trained officers into laughing fools." "No," said Lena. "I beat them fairly. They chose snacks over duty." Ambassador Hale Varyn, the only other human in the chamber, stepped forward with both hands raised. His gray diplomatic uniform was clean, but his face looked tired and worried. "Your Honor, Earth requests one final review before punishment." "No," Cyrac said. Hale stopped, then looked at Lena with quiet pain. Above her, red words appeared in the air. "Execution by quantum erasure." The sentence hung over her like a blade. Lena's small smile faded, not from fear, but from disappointment. "So that is your answer? No real questions? No mercy? No honest hearing?" Cyrac's inner light darkened. "You disturbed protected worlds. I gave medicine to miners whose families were dying. I gave water filters to farmers your council ignored. I taught frightened workers how to laugh when your laws told them to suffer quietly." Nera pointed all 4 hands at her. "You changed cultures without permission." Lena looked at the alien gallery. Some faces were angry, some were afraid. A few looked ashamed. "Maybe some cultures needed saving," she said. Then the cuffs began to crack. One small sound echoed. Tick, then another. Tick. The black metal split apart and dropped from her wrists. Every guard raised a weapon. Hale whispered, "Lena, please stay calm." Lena rubbed the red marks on her skin and looked at the judge. Cyrac's throne lights flickered. "How did you break court restraints?" Lena tilted her head. "You did not read my full file, did you?" Nera opened a floating data screen. Her eyes moved quickly across the lines. "Human, female, 22 Earth years, civilian aid worker, arrested on Corin Belt." She stopped. Cyrac's voice lowered. "Continue." Nera swallowed. "Hidden Earth Defense Classification, Soul-born Level 7. Hale closed his eyes. "Now it begins." Lena looked up, and the air around her bent. They sentenced Lena like an ordinary human, but her sealed file carried a warning even Earth feared to explain.
The air around Lena bent harder, as if the room itself had become water. The glowing symbols on the floor twisted out of shape. The blue lights above the chamber faded, then flashed back in broken pulses. The alien observers moved away from the trial platform, their fear spreading faster than any alarm. High Judge Cyrac rose higher on his crystal legs. "Soul-born Level 7, he said slowly. "That classification is forbidden." Lena looked at him with tired eyes. It was never a rank, it was a scar. Naira's 4 hands shook over the data screen. This says you survived the solar rift disaster. Hale moved closer, keeping his voice low. Lena, stay with me. I am here, she said, but the metal floor under her feet groaned. Naira continued reading, though her voice had lost its strength. Exposure time, 13 hours. Survival chance, nearly 0. Result, permanent energy bond with living tissue. A guard whispered a word in his own language. Monster. Lena heard it. For 1 second, her face softened. She did not look angry, she looked wounded, as if that word had followed her across too many worlds. I was 17, she said. I did not choose the rift. I did not choose the glass rooms, the tests, and the doctors who watched from behind safe walls. I only chose to live. The hall became still. Sirac broke the silence. Pain does not cancel guilt. Lena gave a quiet laugh. And law does not become justice because powerful people speak it. A murmur crossed the gallery. Sirac struck his platform with one sharp leg. Order! The echo cracked. A thin line split across his crystal throne. Naira stepped back. Your Honor! Lena stared at the crack with surprise. That was not me. Hale turned quickly. Then what was it? The red death order above Lena suddenly changed. The words twisted, vanished, and returned in black light. Asset recovery approved. Lena's face went pale. For the first time, fear entered her eyes. Hale saw it and went cold. That is not a court command. Sirac looked toward the screen. I did not authorize this. The main doors opened without anyone touching them. Silent figures entered in white armor. They had no faces, no symbols, and no hesitation. Even the court guards moved aside, as if their bodies understood danger before their minds did. The lead figure spoke in a flat voice. Soul-born subject located. Local judgment suspended. Property will be returned to origin control. Lena's hands slowly closed. Hale stepped in front of her. She is a citizen. The figure ignored him. Naira stared at the soldiers. Who are you? Lena's voice became small, but every person heard it. The people who made sure I stopped feeling human. The court wanted Lena dead, but a colder enemy arrived, the hidden force that had hunted her since the day she escaped.
The people who made sure I stopped feeling human, Lena said. The words changed the room. The white-armored soldiers stood in a perfect line. They did not look like officers. They looked like commands given bodies. Their helmets showed no eyes, no mouth, and no life. High Judge Sirac's body flashed red. This is a galactic court. No outside force may enter during sentencing. The lead soldier turned toward him. Incorrect. Soul-born subjects are not protected by court law. They remain controlled assets. Lena's jaw tightened. Hale's voice sharpened. She is not an asset. The soldier lifted one hand to his helmet. Air hissed. The faceplate opened. A human man looked out. He was older, pale, and calm in a cruel way. A thin scar crossed one cheek, and his gray eyes held no regret. Hello, Lena. You ran far. Lena forced herself to stand straight. Commander Velez, still hiding behind clean armor? Hale turned on him. You followed her into neutral space? Velez smiled faintly. Neutral space is a polite story told by weak governments. Nira looked confused and disturbed. You are human? Some humans do work official humans deny, Velez said. Cyrak lowered his head. "You brought secret soldiers into my chamber." Velez glanced at him like a broken chair. "Your trial helped us find her, that is all." A soft click sounded. The white soldiers raised black devices. Hale shouted, "Lena, move!" Silver rings of light shot across the hall. They wrapped around Lena's arms, legs, and throat. Her breath broke. The strange pressure around her vanished. The cracked floor stopped moving. She dropped to one knee. All of them saw the agony she had hidden. Her hands trembled against the cold floor. Velez walked closer. Still too emotional. That was always the flaw. Lena looked up, breathing hard. "No, that was the only reason I survived." The gallery watched in shocked silence. A few moments earlier, they had feared her. Now they saw something worse than power. They saw a wounded person being dragged back by the people who had broken her. Cyrak's red glow dimmed. "What are those rings?" "A leash," Velez said. Lena's eyes shone, but she refused to let the tears fall. Then she smiled weakly. "You forgot something, Commander." Velez stopped. Lena looked past him, toward the dark ceiling. "I was not the only soulborn who escaped." Hale froze. Velez's soldiers shifted for the first time. Somewhere far beyond Vera Station, in a place no scanner could touch, another human heard Lena's silent call. Velez came to chain Lena again, but the one soulborn he feared most had just been awakened.
For several seconds, no one spoke. Commander Velez looked at Lena as if he wanted to tear the answer from her mind. The silver rings around her body tightened, and she bit her lip hard enough to draw blood. Hale stepped toward her, but two soldiers blocked him. "Stop hurting her," he said. Velez did not look away from Lena. "Pain keeps her focused." Nira's voice came quietly from the prosecutor's stand. "What did your program do to her?" Velez answered without shame. "It made her useful." That sentence changed the chamber. Even some guards who had aimed weapons at Lena lowered their arms a little. Cyrak climbed down from his damaged throne. His crystal legs clicked against the platform, slower than before. "This court will not approve prisoner transfer without review." Lena gave a painful smile. "Now everyone loves procedure." Velez turned his cold eyes on the judge. "You sentenced her to die. Do not pretend your hands are clean." Cyrak had no reply. The lights flickered, not from Lena. A station alarm rolled through the hall, deep and rough. The ceiling screens changed to the outside view. There a station floated above the dark side of a blue planet. Beyond it, something moved without engine light. A shape cut through the stars. Not a normal ship, not a missile, not anything the station could name. A technician's voice broke over the speakers. "Unknown object approaching. No heat trail, no drive pattern, no identification." Velez's expression hardened. "Lock every door. Black containment level." Across every screen, new words appeared. "Let her go." They were not typed. They looked burned into the system. Nira stepped away from her desk. "Who is doing that?" Lena breathed through the pain. "The quiet one." Hale's eyes widened. "Orion!" The station lights died. Red emergency strips came on along the floor. In their dim glow, shadows stretched across the walls like long fingers. The main doors did not open. They simply stopped being closed. A man stepped through the darkness wearing a black travel coat. His hair was silver, though his face looked young. His eyes were calm, but the space around him felt empty, as if sound itself avoided him. Lena managed a weak smile. "You took your time." Orion looked at her burns. "You called with no patience. I was being strangled." "That explains the bad signal."
For one moment, Lena almost laughed. Then Orion turned to Velez. Every screen cracked. Velez's hand moved toward his weapon. Orion spoke softly, "Do not." The commander's hand stopped. Not because Orion forced it, because Velez remembered the last time he ignored that voice. Orion entered without breaking a wall, but everyone understood the quiet human was the most dangerous person in the room.
Orion stood beside the broken trial floor, calm as winter. The soldiers aimed at him at once, their black devices charged with silver light, the same kind that had trapped Lena. Velez lifted his chin, trying to regain control. "Orion Kale," he said, "you are also marked for recovery." Orion looked at the soldiers first, then at Lena on the floor. "You always use gentle words for ugly things." Velez's mouth tightened. "Restrain him." The soldiers fired. Silver rings flew toward Orion. They never reached him. Each ring disappeared a hand's width from his coat, erased so cleanly that not even sparks remained. The gallery gasped. Orion walked toward Lena. No one stopped him. The white soldiers kept their weapons raised, but their confidence had cracked. Lena tried to sit up. "Careful, the rings burn." "I remember," Orion said. He touched the first silver band with 2 fingers. It turned to dust. The second and third broke apart like old ash. When the ring at her throat fell away, Lena inhaled sharply. Her body gave out. Hale rushed forward and caught her before she hit the floor. "Easy, I have you." Lena leaned against him, angry at her own weakness. "I hate being rescued." Orion looked at her, then stand later and complain properly. That almost made her smile. Sirac watched with dim crystal eyes. "You are soul-born, too." "Yes," Orion said. Neera's voice was low. "How many survived?" Orion looked at Velez. Enough for him to lose sleep. Velez stepped back. "You think this display changes anything? She broke council law. She turned colonies against order." Hale said, "She gave them medicine." "She gave them hope," Velez replied. "Hope spreads faster than weapons." Lena lifted her head. "That is why you came, not because I am unstable, because people listened." Velez's face became hard. "Symbols create rebellions." "Only when rulers deserve one," she said. A murmur moved through the alien gallery. It was no longer fear alone. Some heard sense in her words, and sense was harder to silence than panic. Orion faced the court. "She was sent here to die because too many powerful people wanted her story buried. Earth's hidden program wanted her body. The council wanted a warning made from her execution. Both failed." Sirac's cracked throne gave a soft sound as another fragment fell. For the first time, the judge looked truly ashamed. Velez reached into his armor and pulled out a small black control device. Orion's eyes narrowed. "What did you bring?" Velez smiled. The floor split open beneath the trial platform. A metal cylinder rose from below, covered with old Earth warning marks. Inside its glass chamber floated a burning white core. Lena went still. Hale whispered, "What is that?" Velez answered with pride and madness, "The solar rift fragment." Soldiers could not defeat the soulborn, so Velez revealed the one thing that had broken them as children. The solar rift fragment twisted inside the glass cylinder. It did not shine like fire. It shivered like a wound that had never healed. Every light in the hall bent toward it, and the air tasted sharp, like metal before a storm. Lena's hand clutched Hale's sleeve. He looked down and saw real terror in her face. "Lena!" She could barely speak. "It remembers."
Orion moved in front of her, but even he swayed. Thin, dark lines flashed under his skin and vanished. The calm that had protected him cracked for a heartbeat. Sirac backed away from the cylinder. "Turn it off!" Velez laughed once. "That is not how the source works." Nira stared at him in horror. "You brought an unstable rift object into a station filled with civilians?" "It is controlled," Velez said. The glass made a tiny sound. A crack appeared. No one breathed. Then a second crack formed beside it. The confidence drained from Velez's face. Lena heard voices, not through her ears, through memory. Young voices crying, doors locking, doctors speaking numbers, her own younger self begging someone to help. She pressed her hands over her ears, but the sound lived inside her. Orion turned. "Do not listen to it." "I know them," Lena whispered. "You remember them." "No, they are still there." The cylinder hummed louder. Several alien observers fell to their knees. Guards dropped weapons to cover their heads. The whole station shook as if the fragment had become a heartbeat under the floor. Velez shouted to his soldiers, "Secure the subject." No one moved. Their blank helmets faced the broken glass. Even trained hunters knew when fear became wisdom. Lena pulled away from Hale. He reached for her. "No! If I leave it, the station breaks." Orion's voice was urgent now. "If you touch it, it may pull you in." Lena looked at the judge, the prosecutor, the guards, and the people who had watched her sentence appear above her head. Sirac whispered, "Why would she protect us after what we did?" Hale answered quietly, "Because she heard people in danger." Lena walked toward the cylinder. Every step hurt. Her skin glowed faintly with the same pale energy inside the glass. Her face showed fear, pain, and a choice she had already made. Velez tried to raise his control device again. It sparked and died in his palm. Lena placed one hand on the glass. The crying stopped. For one soft second, peace entered the hall. Then the cylinder shattered. Light swallowed Lena. Lena touched the same power that ruined her life, but inside the light waited the names the universe had forgotten.
The hall vanished. Lena opened her eyes under a dark sky filled with broken stars. There was no judge, no soldiers, no silver floor, only a wide, empty place and a burning line across the horizon. Shapes stood around her. Children. Some were small, some were almost her age when the rift took them. Their faces were blurred by pale light, but Lena knew them, not by name, because those had been erased. She knew them by fear, because their fear had lived inside her for years. A little boy stepped forward. His voice was gentle. "You came back." Lena's chest tightened. "I did not mean to leave you." "You carried us," he said. "Every time you answered someone crying, we heard it." Tears slid down Lena's face. "I thought saving others would make your voices fade." A girl beside him shook her head. "We were not asking you to bury pain. We were asking you to open the door." Back in the chamber, Hale tried to run into the light, but Orion held him back. "Move!" Hale shouted. "You will be ash before you reach her," Orion said, though his own face showed strain. Inside the rift space, Lena looked at the young figures. "What door?" The little boy pointed upward. The broken sky split. Images fell through it like rain. A white lab, a locked chamber, young faces behind glass, adults writing notes while small hands beat against the walls. Commander Velez standing beside a control panel, calm and untouched. Lena shook her head. The records were destroyed.
They were hidden in the source, the girl said. Suffering leaves marks. The vision changed again. Now the chamber could see it too. The pale force around Lena pulled images into the main hall. The alien gallery watched the memories play above them. Nira covered her mouth. Sirac lowered his crystal body until his legs bent beneath him. Hale stared at the image of young Lena pounding on a sealed door. "That is what they did to her," he whispered. Velez backed away. "No, these are echoes, nothing more." Orion's voice became ice. "Then why are you afraid of them?" In the rift space, the little boy held out his hand. "Tell them." Lena wiped her tears. "I will." The dark place faded. She stepped out of the light and back onto the broken court floor. Behind her stood the small glowing figures, silent but clear enough for everyone to see. Velez looked as if he had seen a grave open. Lena faced him. "I listened to you once. I will not listen anymore." The control device in his hand turned to ash. Lena returned with the forgotten victims beside her, and now the buried records were ready to speak through her. Lena stood before the chamber with the young victims of the solar rift behind her. Their glow was quiet. It did not burn or threaten. It simply existed, and that made denial impossible. Velez stepped back until his armor touched a broken rail. "This is a trick." Lena lifted her hand. The court screens came alive. Lines of sealed data opened across the air. Names appeared, ages followed, medical notes, pain readings, survival reports, death times. Subject 14, age 9. Subject 22, age 11. Subject 31, age 8. The list kept moving. No one interrupted. Naira sank to her knees. Two of her hands covered her face, while the others hung uselessly at her sides. Sirac's inner light faded to a dull orange. They were so young. Velez's voice shook with anger. "Volunteers!" Lena turned on him. "Children cannot volunteer for torture." A memory appeared above them. Young Lena stood in a white room, wearing a hospital gown too large for her. A smaller boy cried beside her. A doctor outside the glass told them to remain calm while alarms flashed red. Hale's face broke. "You never told Earth diplomacy this." Lena kept her eyes on the memory. "No one asked the right question. They asked what I could do. They never asked what was done to me." Orion stood beside her, silent but ready. Velez suddenly grabbed a fallen weapon and aimed it at the screen. Before he could fire, the weapon separated into pieces and floated around him like dead insects. Orion had not even raised his voice. "Enough!" Velez shouted. "Humanity needed strength. The rift gave us survival." "No," Lena said. "It gave you excuses." She walked toward him. The guards did not stop her. The soldiers who had come with Velez did not protect him. One by one, they removed their helmets. Young human faces appeared, shaken by what they had seen. The first soldier stepped away from the commander, then another, then all of them. Velez looked around. "Cowards!" One soldier answered, "No, we were lied to." Lena stopped in front of Velez. Everyone thought she would strike him down. Even he believed it. Instead, she touched 2 fingers to his forehead. White light flashed. Velez screamed once and collapsed to his knees. His hands clutched his head, his face twisted as every memory entered him, every cry, every locked room, every life he reduced to numbers. Lena stepped back with wet eyes. I gave him what he called progress, she said softly. Velez looked up at the glowing figures. This time, he saw them not as results, but as lives. Velez finally felt the horror he buried, but the files had already left the chamber and were spreading across the galaxy.
Vera Station became the center of a storm. The hidden files moved through every open channel before anyone could stop them. Traders saw them on cargo decks, diplomats saw them in private rooms, ship captains watched the names of dead miners fill their screens. Inside the judgment hall, no one moved. Velez remained on his knees, shaking under memories he had refused to carry for years. His soldiers stood apart from him, helmets on the floor. The pale figures behind Lena grew softer, like stars seen through morning fog. High Judge Sirac looked at her with a broken expression. "You could have destroyed this court," he said. "Instead, you showed evidence." Lena's voice was tired. Destruction ends a room. Proof changes what comes after. Nira slowly rose. The council knew part of this. Hale turned sharply. What part? The prosecutor lowered her gaze. There were sealed agreements. Earth's hidden program gave the council defensive systems. In return, missing reports near restricted space were ignored. I did not know the full horror, but the council knew enough to ask questions. Lena stared at her. So the same council that sentenced me for helping colonies helped hide the people who hurt us. Nira could not answer. Sirac closed his eyes. His crystal body gave a faint sound, like glass under pressure. Then this court has judged blindly for too long. Before anyone could speak, the ceiling screen went black. A new face appeared. Council Prime Arvos looked down from the display. His gold eyes were cold, and his silver robes made him seem peaceful only to fools. "This session is suspended," Arvos said. "All released material is illegal. The human subjects will be surrendered to council custody." Hale let out a bitter laugh. "You saw the files and still call them subjects?" Arvos ignored him. "Judge Sirac, obey Central Command." The hall waited. Sirac looked at Lena, then at the fading figures, then at Velez. The judge who had sentenced her now stood inside the full weight of his mistake. "No," he said. The word was quiet, but it split the future in two. Arvos's eyes narrowed. "Repeat that?" Sirac lifted his cracked body. "This court will not surrender victims to those who helped hide their suffering." Nira raised all four hands. "I stand with the court." Station guards lowered their weapons. Alien diplomats began to rise, one after another. Lena's eyes filled with emotion. She had entered as a prisoner. Now the room stood between her and the most powerful council in the galaxy. Arvos's calm mask finally slipped. "Then Vera Station is in rebellion." Outside, warships appeared from jump space. The court finally chose justice over fear, but the council answered with warships, and Lena had to shield the people who once condemned her. Council warships filled the darkness around Vera Station. Their black holes covered the stars. Red targeting lines crossed the station shields. Inside the hall, alarms screamed through the walls, while civilians cried out and ran for cover. A guard shouted, "Weapons locked!" Sirac turned toward the main screen. "Prime Arvos, lower your weapons! You are endangering everyone on this station!" Arvos appeared again, calm and cold. "The station has broken order. Order must be restored." Hale said, "You mean erased?" Arvos smiled slightly. "History remembers stability, Ambassador." Lena looked past him at the warships. The young figures behind her were fading faster now.
Their shapes trembled at the edges, pulled toward whatever waited beyond the dying rift fragment. Orion noticed, "Their time here is ending." Lena nodded once. Naira looked from the fading lights to the screen. "If the ships fire, what happens to the fragment?" Orion's jaw tightened. "It may tear open again." A heavy silence fell. The same power that had taken young lives years ago could now break the station and take thousands more. Lena stepped forward. Hale grabbed her wrist. "No, do not make that face." She looked at him gently. "What face?" He said, "The one you make when you have already decided to suffer for everyone else." Her eyes softened. "You taught me diplomacy means standing between danger and the helpless." "I did not mean alone." She looked around the room. "I am not alone." The fading lights came closer. Their glow joined with hers, not as chains, but as trust. Orion's voice lowered. "This could pull you too near the rift." "Then keep calling me back," she said. Outside, the warships charged. Red energy gathered at their cannons. Arvas gave the order, "Fire!" Lena closed her eyes. She did not attack the ships. She reached for the minds inside them. Pilots, officers, engineers, soldiers, people trained to obey without feeling. She sent them the records. Then she sent more than records. She gave them the sound of locked doors, the fear of white rooms, the taste of metal air, the cold of being called a project instead of a person. Across the fleet, weapons dimmed. One ship after another stopped charging. Arvas shouted again, but no one obeyed. A young officer appeared on the lead warship screen, tears running down his face. "We will not kill them twice." The hall became still. Lena opened her eyes, brighter than before. Then her feet lifted from the floor. Her body started turning transparent. Hale shouted her name. Lena stopped the fleet without firing a shot, but the price was terrible. The rift had begun pulling her away from the living world.
Lena floated above the broken trial floor. White light moved through her skin, and the small glowing figures rose with her. The warships outside stayed silent, their weapons cold. For one perfect moment, no one in the galaxy was firing. Then Hale reached for her hand. His fingers passed through hers. "No," he whispered. "Lena, stay." She looked down at him. Her smile was gentle, but fear hid behind it. "I am trying." Orion stepped closer. His calm voice cracked for the first time. "Listen to me. Follow my voice, not the pull." The little boy from the rift appeared beside Lena. He looked peaceful now. "She opened the cage," he said. "We can leave." Hale shook his head. "Not with her." Lena looked at the young souls, then at the court, then at the screen where the fleet waited in silence. She understood the choice forming around her. She could let the rift carry her away with the lost and finally be free from pain. Or she could remain with the living and carry the evidence into a future that would not be easy. Her tears floated around her like tiny stars. "I remember you," she told them. "I will not let your names disappear again." The little boy smiled. "Then we are not lost." One by one, the figures turned into sparks. Their light rose through the ceiling, through the station, and into the dark beyond. The solar rift fragment cracked again, but this time it did not scream. It sighed. The burning core folded inward and became smaller. Lena's body flickered. Orion reached into the empty pressure around her.
Dark energy moved across his hands, fighting the pull with careful strength. "Hale," he said, "call her." Hale's voice broke. "Lena Vale, you owe me 3 reports, 1 apology, and a very long explanation." Lena's eyes shifted toward him. He kept going, tears on his face. "You also promised the Corin families you would bring better filters. You do not get to leave unfinished work." A faint laugh escaped her. The sound was thin, but real. Orion pulled. The last spark vanished into peace. Lena fell. Orion caught her before she struck the floor. Hale dropped beside them and pressed 2 fingers to her neck. For a terrible second, there was no answer. Then Lena opened one eye. "Your reports are going to be terrible," she whispered. Hale laughed and cried at the same time. Around them, the judgment hall breathed again. Lena returned from the edge of the rift, but the evidence she released had already changed the balance of the galaxy forever.
The alarms finally stopped. For the first time since the trial began, Vera Station was quiet. Not peaceful, not yet, but quiet enough for everyone to hear their own breathing. Lena sat on the floor, weak but alive. Orion stayed beside her, one hand still ready in case the rift tried to take her again. Hale knelt on her other side, looking like he would never let her out of sight. The court screens flickered. A message appeared across the station. Council Prime Arvos removed from command pending public trial. Commander Velez arrested for crimes against humanity and allied species. Sol-born project files released to all recognized worlds. Nira read the message with shaking hands. It is real. Cyrac lowered his cracked crystal body toward Lena. It was not the movement of a judge. It was the bow of someone who had learned humility too late, but not too late to act. Lena Vale, your sentence is canceled. All charges are dismissed. Lena gave him a tired look. Even the part about insulting the court? Cyrac's inner light flickered, especially that part. A few people laughed softly. The sound was small, but after so much fear, it felt like sunlight. Nira stepped forward. The Corin Belt colonies will receive protection, medicine, and infrastructure support. Your water filters will be legal. Lena leaned back against Hale. Good. They need pipes more than apologies. Hale smiled. They will get both. Days passed, then weeks. The galaxy did not heal overnight. No honest world does. Trials began, records were studied, officials resigned. Earth faced the secret program it had hidden behind patriotic words. The Galactic Council rewrote laws that once protected power more than people. Some still feared the soul-born. Some called them weapons, but others called them survivors. And that word mattered. Lena did not become a ruler. She refused statues, titles, and military offers. She returned to the colonies first, because families there still needed clean water, and miners still needed medicine. Months later, she stood under an open sky on Corin Belt. Clear water ran through new pipes. Young voices laughed nearby, splashing each other without fear. Orion stood beside her. "Do you still hear them?" he asked. Lena looked up at the stars. For years, the voices of the lost had lived inside her, like an open wound. Now, when she remembered them, the pain was softer. Their names were written. Their story was known. Their cage was gone. "No," she said gently. "Now I remember them in peace." Hare approached from behind, carrying a stack of reports. Lena sighed. "Tell me those are not for me." He said, "They are. Hero work has paperwork." Orion almost smiled. Lena looked at the young ones playing near the water and accepted the reports. The court tried to erase her. Instead, she erased the lie.
And in the end, humanity's greatest power was not destruction, revenge, or fear. It was compassion strong enough to survive the truth. Lena Vale was judged as a danger, hunted as a weapon, and remembered as a witness because one human girl chose compassion when the galaxy expected war. May this message strengthen your faith and renew your hope. Thank you for staying until the end. If this touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Astro Realms for more uplifting content. May God's blessings overflow in your life. See you soon.